Hey guys, it's Siobhan Muir, and here I am making, today we're gonna make challah bread. Challah bread is a traditional sweet bread for the Jewish traditions, and it's usually around, Hanukkah and Christmas time, but it's also a really good sweet bread that's not heavy on the sweet, that you can have any time of year as long as you have eggs. Really, because it's an egg bread, and if you don't have eggs, it's not going to work. So, and of course, this is again, because it's a bread, I tend to make the dough in my bread maker, because make it do all the work, and then I can just make it pretty at the end. Because, yes, absolutely. So, the first thing we're going to need is, now this is originally the Best Bread Machine challah bread recipe by Kosher by Design by Susie Fishbein, and I've used it. As you can see, my recipe is, stained, and we should probably laminate it, but it's not laminated at the moment, and I've used it a lot, and it always comes out really beautiful and a success. Technically, this recipe makes 2 large loaves, but because if you're crafty enough, you can make it as 1 large loaf and 2 little loaves, or 4 little loaves, and give them to friends.
2 large loaves. That's what the original recipe calls for. 2 large loaves. Yeah. Okay.
So we need 1.5 cups of warm water.
I don't know if I can manage that. Okay.
I'm not going to throw any shade. I'm not going to throw any shade. I'm just not. The other thing is you're going to need 5 egg yolks, not the whites, the yolks. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to separate the yolks from the whites, and I'll put the whites in the bowl. Now you can keep the whites for long enough while you're doing this to be able to burnish the tops, because you will want an egg wash at the top. It does say use an entire egg lightly beaten, but since you have all these whites here, rather than throw them out, it'll turn out the same. It won't be quite as golden because you're not using the yolk, but might as well use what you've got. So, while she gets the 1.5 cups of water,
Which I just finished.
good job. Put it in the bread maker, please. Ta-da! Good job.
Thank you.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate out the eggs. And basically what this means is you let the whites come off, and you just save the yolk. Ta-da!
You want me to get a bowl for that?
For what?
The yolks.
No,
Okay.
because the yolks go right in the bread maker.
Alright.
So it's very exciting, but that's basically what you do, is you just roll the egg in between. And you try to separate as much of the whites off the egg, and then ta-da! Oh, there you go.
Turns out, if you spill eggshell into something, using the other eggshell, it actually attracts the little piece in whatever egg stuff you're making. You know? Apparently. Okay.
Okay.
I love how you didn't answer, you just made me guess.
I didn't make you guess, you just kept speaking. Okay.
And then I waited for you to answer and you just did this.
So the next thing you need is
Thanks for ignoring me.
you're welcome. It is a teaspoon and 1/8 of salt. Really highly important to get this perfectly placed. Not. Because eventually this thing is going to do its own mixing.
Yes, but with the salt, it's really important.
Well, you don't want to oversalt it. Please do not oversalt your...
Do not oversalt this.
Otherwise, life will be awful. Here, will you set this to the side? Thank you, darling. Okay. Then you need 1/3 cup of oil. Any oil will do. I prefer vegetable oils or avocado. So, 1/3 cup of oil. A 1/2 cup of sugar, which I already got out because you don't want to run away while you're trying to make this. So half a cup of sugar. Which seems like a lot of sugar, but you are making a fairly large amount of bread. So while half a cup of sugar was like,
How much are you putting?
most of my other breads, they only ask for like 3 tablespoons. Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, so half a cup of sugar is a lot of sugar, but you are making a lot of bread. And this is supposed to be a sweeter bread.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, and then you need 4 1/4 cups of flour. That's a quarter.
Quarter.
All right, so once you have your 4 1/4 cups of flour, you're going to need, in this recipe, you'll need a tablespoon of yeast. Now, I used Fleischmann's, bread machine instant yeast. For a long time, we couldn't find any. We actually had to get my mother-in-law to send me some yeast because there was no yeast anywhere in Cheyenne, like anywhere.
No.
You couldn't even order it online. That's how hard it was. Yeah, it was insane. So, we actually had to ask my mother-in-law, who lives in Florida, to buy us packages of yeast to send to us so we could continue to make bread. She sent us 4 that you can get in Sam's, so I will never run out of yeast, like ever.
Well, we make it bread with money.
Yeah, we do. We make a lot of bread. So what you want to do in any of these recipes is you want to make a well in your bread. And then this one calls for an entire tablespoon of active dry yeast. So,
Wow, that's a lot of yeast.
yeah. So, and you put it into the well.
So I say, well,
Fine, yes. All right. Then, once you have this mixture put together, this is what goes into the bread maker, and it just runs. And it takes about an hour and a half. And to mix everything together and get yourself a decent dough that you're going to manipulate later. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it in the bread maker, we're going to hit go, and then in an hour and a half we'll be back to show you what it looks like once it comes out of the bread maker. So we'll see you then. As you can see, the bread has literally come out of the bread maker.
You got excited. We
It did.
Scare the yeast.
We didn't even scare the yeast. Look, you can scare it and it doesn't do anything. So what you're wanting to do is, as soon as it's done in the bread maker, you actually kind of want to. Wow! Look! It's not letting go. You want to pull it out of the pan, ta-da, like that. And you should have a fair amount of dough. You want to. This makes a lot of dough, and what you're going to do with this dough. Okay, and because it is, as you can see, kind of sticky. So,
Take your ring off.
nah, not with this. It would be different if it was a really sticky dough. Like, I make these jam buns. Those are really sticky. This is only mildly sticky.
Only mildly sticky.
It is only mildly sticky. It really is. So you're going to have quite a bit of dough. And in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to get the stuff off my fingers. And we're getting a knife. Because what you're going to do, if you're just going to make 2 loaves of challah bread, you're going to cut this in half, basically. Make sure it's half. So you're going to cut it in half. All right. So this will be 1 loaf. Now, what I've decided is I'm going to make 1 big loaf and 2 smaller ones. So I'm actually going to cut it into, quarters, right? So that we're going to end up with 3 loaves of bread. I know it doesn't look like it right now, but they will be 3 loaves of bread. So the first thing you do is you roll each section, since you have these things. I'm going to leave these 2 over here for now. You're basically going to cut these into, you're going to braid them. And you can do this a couple different ways. You can either leave it all attached at this one end, and then just cut three sections, or you can cut them into 4 different strands, roll them by your hands to make long strips, and then braid them. Either way works. think actually cutting them individually.
Don't you think you'd only cut it part of the way and leave one end kind of?
What did I just describe?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You can choose to leave the ends together and then braid them that way. That is one way of doing it. But then you get kind of angular pieces. The nice thing about cutting them apart, when you cut all the way through, of course. The nice thing about cutting them apart is then you take these things and you roll them. So they're actually going to be more of strands. And then you can make longer. She's gonna move that. So this kind of rounds it all out, and then you get some nice strands of bread. And yeah, it does look a little knobby in some ways, but it also helps stretch the dough so you have nicer braids. But it really does get rid of some of that angular edges off of it. This one. And don't worry about them not being equal size. They should be more or less, but in the long run, it's really not going to matter because you're gonna braid them together. And then you will make a really nice bread out of the deal. Doesn't look it like right now, but it will be. So this is when you just kind of meld it together so that you end up with an end. Okay, so when you have 4 strands like this is going to make a really pretty bread. So, let's see. This one goes over that one, like that. And this one goes over that one. Okay. And then this one, I'm sorry, it goes under that one. What? All right, and then this one goes over that one. So you're going to have a braided look like this. All right, then.
Just do it over and over.
Yep. You want to get it kind of tight-ish. Because, again, you're going to have a time where it's going to rise. Okay, and then when you get to the end, you kind of want to fold it under and mush it all together again so you have a braided strand. Now, in the meantime, what you also want to do is set your oven for 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 177 degrees centigrade or Celsius, and let it heat itself up. But you're not going to bake them immediately. You're going to let them rise a little bit because this looks singularly unimpressive. However, it will eventually look pretty impressive. These are going to be smaller and shorter. Basically, I'm going to do the same thing to the shorter strands as I did to the longer ones. So it's the same process of rolling the dough between your fingers to make decent braided bits of dough.
What?
Nothing. Where are we gonna
Do you care to share what you were thinking?
This will be really entertaining. Alrighty then.
Whatever.
All right, same thing. It's really kind of, it's not a, once you've done one of them, it's really easy to do all the rest of them. So, ooh, that's not gonna work. I know that's not gonna work. That is not gonna work. That's not gonna work.
Okay, fine. I made it work with what I had.
Whatever, you didn't do that.
the path of least resistance because I hate parchment paper and it hates me. So.
Okay then. No judging.
Good.
No judgment here. Nope, no judgment. I admit it, there is no judgment right here.
Yes, but you're also a master of sarcasm.
What?
No.
Which means you're lying straight to my face.
I would never lie straight to your face. I couldn't do it around the corner.
Still straight to my face.
Oh.
Even if it's the long way to my face.
I would never do it right straight to your face. I try to have a little more decorum than that. There we go. So now you have another little braid. Ta-da! Okay, so what the recipe has you do at this point, since you have all these braids, and the longer one apparently curled,
Yes.
which is unusual. Normally they're straight, but you know what? There is plenty of room for...
It's 2021. We're allowed to be different.
You know what? Nobody ever said that you had to be the same in every time. Okay, so once you've done braid the strands and pinch the tops and ends, these are gonna, like I said, they don't look very impressive right now, but they will. Once they rise and puff up and all that stuff, they will actually look really cool. Then you place on the parchment and you let the challah bread rise covered for about 30 minutes, because what you want to do is you want to give the yeast a chance to really get working and do its thing. You already saw it in the pan. It was risen. It's going to rise again, and then it's going to rise even more when you bake it.
Now you see them? Now you don't.
Right, so this will be done in about half an hour, and we'll be back to show you shoving it in the oven, and then it'll take another,
Well,
30 minutes to bake, and then we'll be back again to show you what they look like. But in the meantime, right now we're gonna let it rise for 30 minutes, so we'll be back in a little bit. Okay, so we're back, and the bread has risen, so it gets a little puffier. Now I may have worked it a little bit much, but the idea is to let it kind of rise. Once you bake it, it'll rise even more. It enjoys the heat, and that makes the yeast do its work the best. But what it says is, at this point, since you've pretty much done everything, you want to brush the challah bread with beaten egg. Now, I just used the whites that we used from the yolks that were put into the bread dough. So I'm just gonna use the whites, and I'm just gonna, and you don't need all 5 whites, but they're here and there's no point in wasting them. So that's basically what I'm just gonna do. I'm just gonna brush the dough with this stuff. Now this is also where you would add the the sesame seeds or the poppy seeds. And we have both, so we might end up with both. But you want to just paint the egg. Again, this will make a really nice patina once you bake it. And again, you don't need all 5 egg whites, but since you have them, you might as well use them. Now we get to do it on our curled one. It's the caterpillar challah.
I think it looks fine.
It's beautiful, darling. It's just absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. I used my imagination.
It really doesn't matter what shape your bread turns out like, because it'll be tasty nonetheless. I think we're done with that because, like I said, you don't need to use all 5 egg whites. These are just organic blue poppy seeds. You can buy them in any store, but then what you do is you kind of, you know, it doesn't have to be thickly. Mr. SM loves sesame seeds, so
Yeah.
he says they are good for my heart. So I make sure to put sesame seeds. And the nice thing also about the egg wash is that it helps glue the seeds to the dough. All right, so then all you have to do then is bake for 30 minutes and voila, and you'll get bread dough. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put it in the oven. Ooh. Set your timer for 30 minutes and go. We'll be back and we'll show you what it looks like. Welcome back. All right, so the timer just went off, so we're just gonna take this out of the oven. Ooh. And you fog up your glasses, which is awesome.
Oh my god, it's still escaping!
It is. I told you it would totally plump up, right? This is the round one, and then the two smaller ones. Wow, it turned out nice. As you can see, you will get actual loaves that are individual, and they're all gonna taste sweet and delicious, and yeah, they look wonderful. I'm so excited.
They do. I'm very excited to eat.
And they smell good. So, very easy recipe. Once you put it in the bread maker and it does all the work for you, the rest of the prep is really easy.
And then you just wait for long periods of time.
Well, yes, you do have to wait for long periods of time. And kind of wait like
2.5 hours.
rise. It's kind of like a horror film. You're waiting for rise, my creature. No. So anyway, thank you for joining us. Of course, these are really fun to do, and we try to make the recipes easy. But definitely, please subscribe to my channel. Ring that little bell so at least it lets you know when I have a new video up, so that you know, in case you miss it live.
And don't forget to like this one.
And yeah, don't forget to like this one. And happy making, happy baking, happy eating, and happy reading. And we will talk to you later. See you later. Bye.